start the record. Good. So I would like to thank all of you again for attending this guest lecture by Professor Francesca Forno. Francesca is an associate professor for sociology at the University of Toronto in Italy, and she has a PhD in political science. Her research interests are in the area of political sociology, social movements, consumption, and sustainability, which I think it's very, very interesting combination. Francesca is studying the way in which consumption practice can be used as a form of political activism, investigating the relation between political consumptions and social movement. In her research, Francesca has highlighted the potential of political consumerism to complement and reinforce traditional forms of political action, such as lobbying, for example. And this can be done by creating new challenge of citizen participation. She has also pointed out the challenge and limitation of political consumerism as a strategy for social change, including the risk of individualization, market, and co-optation by corporate interest. So I think if we see or if because actually this lecture is part of series of lectures, and this series of lecture is mainly toward two things. One of them is inclusive in society, diversity in society, but also the second end member of this lecture is green scale sustainability issue. And during the lecture that we highlight this green scales and sustainability issue, many of our audience and guest lecture highlighted this political point of view and how we actually yesterday, 2 days ago, we had like a guest lecture open discussion where our guest lecture highlighted that we need to be self-awareness. And this self-awareness is from our side, but also we need like driver from outside, which will be like incentives that bought by the governments or local market or the business sector itself or education. So there is a lot of driver. And I think today lecture will be like maybe compile some of them, but I think it will be maybe stress a bit the political things. Yeah. So I think I speak now a lot, so I will leave the floor for you, Francesca. And please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, for the invitation. I really like the idea to be here today and to talk a little bit about my research and what I'm doing at the University of Trento and what I have been doing for a long time. Just for an introduction, a little bit, just think about that it's almost 20 years that I'm working on this subject. And in 2004, I published my first article regarding this issue that I will touch today, that had a very fortunate title, From the Street to the Shops. No? Where I was actually observing how social movement organization, when more and more increasingly calling citizens to act in the role of consumer. Pay attention to their consumption choices in order to get rid of poverty or environmental problem or many other issues, mainly for justice, looking for justice. Many things has changed since that time in society. We passed through different crises. The COVID one was the last one. So we are more diversified, a bit economically. In our society, if we look at Western society a lot, there is a much more poverty around. So I think that this is also why I'm so interested in the idea you will see of calling back the political system into the debate, no? Especially starting from the local level, the municipality level. And there is a lot of attention to the power of municipality right now in the sociological and political debate. Anyway, I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation, so in order to follow a little bit of structure in my talk, and I will try to go a little bit fast in order to leave some minutes, at least 10 or a quarter, for question. Also because I will present really what I'm trying to do, mixing what I'm doing with my research. I really think that research is a powerful tool, and we have to do research in order to improve our society, or at least this is what I try to do, but obviously it's a trial. So this is what I would like also to discuss with you. I have also a little bit of video that we have tried before, so you will be able to listen. And I would like also to then pose some question about this video, because I was very impressed when I saw it, and especially when I listened what the local administrator that is involved in this project I'm coordinating told us in the video. And I would like also to ask to pay attention and to tell me what you really find particular of this video. Anyway, we will talk about food, but food is just a case. But the reasoning, the logic that I apply to food could be applied to many other sectors of consumption and production in contemporary society. So we will talk about food because we eat every day. Somebody eats more and other less, but we eat. We need to eat. Eating is a fundamental need. This is the structure of my presentation. I would like to start from the problem. This is something that I always do, especially because, as I said before, I think that science should be useful to improve the situation. So it's important to start to sketch the problem, and also to find the idea how to solve it. Sometimes sociology tends to be very descriptive. I like sociology that goes in the land, that works with real cases, with living lab, as I like to call it. Then I will question around the provocation Back to the Future, and I will present what in the literature are called alternative food networks. Is Back to the Future because in many papers they are considered, I will talk about them in a little while, they are considered retro innovation. So innovation, they are innovative solutions, but they look back, try to reevaluate something that was part of our past. Then this is exactly my research. I mean, trying to look the potential and limits of alternative food networks in order to solve their limitation, because in my opinion, but this is a matter of discussion, they have something very powerful and very interesting for us, where we can learn. But of course, they cannot do all the work by themselves. We need really to restructure our political system and political way of looking at food change if we want to giving more possibility to affect a higher number of people for these initiatives. And then this idea, this isn't very old ideas. There was a kind of motto in the environmental movement, for the environmental movement, acting local, thinking global. And I think that is very important motto. And then I will finish my presentation thinking about how can we act local and by thinking globally anyway. So if we think about negative social and environmental consequences of current economic system, we clearly see that many of the problems that we are facing, and there are a lot, are consequences of our way of producing and consuming that is not sustainable. I mean, if we think about, now we have talking a lot about global warming, pollution, ecosystem degradation, climate change, resource consumption, biodiversity loss. This is a real problem, very big problem. but that are clearly originating in our way of producing and consuming. There is no other explanation for this problem. I remember a few months ago, I have attended a lecture from a professor, a sociologist that I like very much, who is very critical about what is called technical fix. She showed us at the beginning of her presentation a picture of our oceans, I mean water, full of plastic, microplastic. And she asked us, what are the consequences of this plastic? I mean, we might find a technical solution, but maybe we should look for a social solution, because clearly, if we have all this pollution around, it's because we are not functioning well as a society. So why we dismiss the idea of work in order to function better as a society, but we are always looking for a technical solution. So to keep the same lifestyle that we have. Of course, there are a lot of explanations for this that we can discuss later. But what I and my research group is looking for social fix, not technical fix. Technology can help to restructure society, to help to society to work well, but we cannot always ask the technology to solve all the problem. Also because there are a lot of issues around technological fixes, like in the literature is called rebound effect. If you, for example, are able to solve part of the problem related to overconsumption of energy with renewable energy, since after a while they became cheaper, maybe this means that people will start to consume more. No? So the idea is that we have to really reflect if we need to consume so much. Also because there are not just the environmental consequences of our way of production and consumption, but there are also a lot of social consequences, like environmental conflict, for example, growing level of inequality, as I was telling before, growing poverty problems, or health problems, or work problems. Because, of course, I mean, the way of producing and consumption, for example, if I think about the localization of production, of course, I mean, in Western country, we can access, I mean, things to wear or to eat to a lower prices, but this means also canceling works, jobs in our country, and also creating exploitation in the other part of the world. No? So I think that there are a lot of problems related to our way of producing and consuming. Here are the three paradoxes that are called the three global paradoxes around food, that I think that they are very interesting, because you can immediately see that there is something wrong in the way we consume and produce food. For example, we have a higher number of people that are overweight, obese, but also people that still don't have access to food. And also, for example, people that are obese or overweight, it might be not because they have too much access to food, but because maybe the food they access are bad food. No? In some countries, for example, it's not the case of Italy, at least for now. There are these places that are called food desert, where the only food you can access is processed food that is very unhealthy for the health of people. Then there is another problem, paradoxes in the global food change. That, for example, many things that we grow are used actually to fuel car or to feed animals. No, that again it linked with our lifestyle that is really not sustainable. And the other one that is something that at least in Western countries a lot of debated, that the fact that 1/3 of the food that is globally produced is wasted, is thrown away. I mean, we have a big problem with waste, food waste. So this means that there is something that doesn't work in the food chain. I'm sorry, I didn't notice that I put this slide in Italian, but anyway, probably it is the images are enough to understand. I have it in English, but I don't know why I didn't change it. So there is a lot of debate here right now. I mean, internationally about the need to move from what is called a linear system of production to a more circular system of production. You might have already passed through this concept in earlier lectures, but if we think how normally we buy food or any other things, obviously we immediately notice that there are many things that pass through very long chains, no? Food chains, for example. Now I'm coordinating a team of research around an European project that is called Food Diverse. Within this project, we have done a supermarket audit. So that means that me and my research group went inside the big supermarket store in order to understand the variety of food that was sold there, and also take into account where the food was coming from. You might not know, but Trento is very known because we are producing apple. I mean, Trento is almost a monocultural territory. We produce apple and wine, basically. And just think about that. In one of the supermarkets we visited, we found apple from New Zealand. So just think about that is really something that you cannot really see this, the logic behind this. It is very difficult to find the logic behind this. And this long food chain, of course, if we think have a lot of environmental impact, health impact, social impact, for example, moving the place of the production away from the place of consumption. And a lot of economic impact, for example, related to market instability. With the COVID emergency, pandemic, we have noticed this. We had a lot of problems related to that, disparity in regulation and consequent of new social inequality. So it comes back the first image that I presented to you in this presentation. So the idea, although as I was saying before starting this lecture, we shouldn't be fundamentalists on this, but rational if we can, no? Because it's really irrational to have apple from New Zealand in a place where basically the only thing that is grown is apple, no? So the idea is to move from a linear model of production to a circular model of production. Circular model of production have a characteristic. They are territorial based. No? There is the territory at the center of this kind of circular economy. A territory that is kind of reevaluated as a source of, not just for, or as a source of economic growth, but also as a source of cultural growth. Or, in fact, here you can see, I mean, a lot of ideas that are around these sistemi territoriali sostenibili del cibo, no? Territorial sustainable food system. No, that are, if we think about the linear model, they are more integrated system. They are based on participation. This is also something that is very important. Linear model of production are based on very lazy consumer. Here, you don't have lazy consumer anymore. You have, again, back citizens that want to contribute, to participate to the development of the place where they live. And they're based on relationship of trust. They evaluate local culture, but also they strengthen social cohesion. No? Just think about it. The linear model of production, if you look at it from a sociological perspective, is a very individualistic model of society. No? Instead, here is a more collectivistic model of society. Obviously, there are two different models of society behind the linear and the circular model of production and consumption. But how can we pass, no? Because this is something that economists now say. I mean, they are not just sociologists or social science, or sociology that say this, but this is actually something that is recognized more and more by a growing number of economists. But the question is, how can we pass from one linear model of production to a circular? It's not that simple. So here comes my research. So I've been for a long time work on political consumerism, as I label it, as is labeled, not I label it. I mean, actually it's labeled like this in the literature, the international literature, but also on collective way of political consumerism. That again, in the literature recognized with this name, alternative food networks. That, from my interpretation, are spaces for experimentation and innovation. Here, now I will show you some pictures that are real pictures. These are people I'm working with in Trento in order to, you will see, to try to take forward this project I'm co-organizing. What does alternative food network do? And there is a lot of you just can go in Google Scholar and digest alternative food network. You will see how much empirical paper and reflection are about these short food chain. First of all, alternative food network are economic circuit based on the so-called short supply chain. So they try to reduce the distance between consumer and producers. The main objective of alternative food network are to re-territorialize food through direct relationship between those who produce and those who consume. From a cultural point of view, this network has played an important role in disseminating a different imaginary of food. So they are really prefigurative. This is another term that has become very important in recent theoretical debate. Prefiguration, I mean, they try to experiment what they have in mind. They try to construct, to build new institutions. From an economic point of view, alternative food networks have created new marketing areas for small producers who have thus been able to reposition themselves to resist in an increasing global and competitive market. Every year, for example, statistics report that small farmers, family farmers, they shut down, basically. It's very difficult for them to stay in a very competitive market that is based in the lowest price as possible of what we eat. So these alternative food networks, these kind of direct relationship between consumer and producer really have to support. We have a lot of cases of very small family farmers that will be able to survive in the market because of the help of critical or political consumer. What are those? I mean, alternative food network, maybe if you are not familiar with the term, it is a little bit difficult to understand. Who are those? Well, for example, this is why at the beginning I say that they are something similar to retro innovation. For example, on farm direct sales. This is, for example, when you go in the farm, in order, for example, to buy what the producer had produced. And this is something that is regrowing at least in Western countries. There is, again, I mean, it is enough to check how many empirical cases, discussion is around these cases, no? Of course, I mean, there is a lot of empirical studies on that says that, for example, on-farm direct sales are more frequent when family farmers or small farmers are producing horticulture, viticulture, or they are usually more diffused in small farms or among farmers that are younger, highly educated, and have started to organize their farm in a multifunctionality, as a multifunctionality farm. Right? For example, they offer not just food, but also hospitality. And in fact, they are more frequently in touristic places. No? So I think that this is quite interesting because it already assigned the direction where these small family farmers can go in order to resist in the market. Also because, for example, critical consumers know that family farmers don't just produce food, but also take care of the territory or the landscape. So they have really a multifunction in what they do. here are friends of mine, actually, in the picture. I mean, are farmers I'm working with. Then there are also farmers market. This is also something very interesting because again, these are again on a rise. I mean, they are diffusing. There are a lot of municipalities that are sponsoring this kind of farmers market where consumer and producer can directly encounter. But they can be also self-organized. I mean, there are farmers market that can be self-organized by a group of citizens, for example, or group of farmers. So I think that this is also something, a very interesting phenomena to see. Then there is this phenomena that is an Italian phenomenon that I studied a lot some years ago. I will also show you some data we gain by studying them in Lombardy, one region in the north of Italy. Is a big research I did still when I was teaching and doing research in my previous university, in Bergamo University. Solidarity purchasing group are a group of families that join together to buy in bulk directly from the farmers. The idea that they have in the back of their mind is, of course, to save money because they self-organize to buy together, but they also are aware of the problem of small family farmers or small farmers, and they want actually to get in direct relationship with them, buy food that is properly grown, with the respect of the nature but also respect of the work of the farmers. So these are quite an interesting phenomenon. They have been quite an interesting phenomenon. And then there is this other concept that is community-supported agriculture that is quite interesting, very difficult. We are actually zooming in one of these experiments to understand the difficulty to be part of this kind of organization. Just think that in community-supported agriculture, consumer and producer invest together in the production. So usually consumer buy in advance what it will be grown by producer, and they also decide together what to plant according to the need of the people that join this mutual organization. Is quite interesting as an experiment, because if we think about all the problems I listed before, they are obviously based on the fact that we consume more than what we need. This means that we don't know anymore what we need. We just consume what is on offer in the market, but we don't know what we need. So I think that this is a very interesting, also pedagogical experiment, because it helps to consumer to understand exactly what we need with a lot of saving. I think that this is also was something that was quite intriguing to me during the lockdown, during the COVID. People had to plan more their consumption. Because we were allowed, for example, to go shopping only once a week. So we had to plan our consumption. And for some families, this also meant a lot of saving. Because if you plan more, you don't waste. If you don't waste your money, but you don't waste also the resources that have been consumed to produce that food that you waste. So I think that these are very interesting experiments. This is why with my research group, we are observing one of them. This is another possibility, participatory supermarket. They are spreading a lot, especially in Belgium, Switzerland, in Germany as well, less in Italy, although they are increasing. They are called food coop. We will have one starting from September in Trento as well. I will join this experiment. The idea is that people, consumer like me, for example, will take part to the organization of this supermarket. So we will save money because we will save money, so we will pay less the food, but not because we will pay less the farmer, but we will contribute to the organization of this space, this common space. Again, these are really tiny experiences, but I think that they can signal something very important. For example, that people are willing to get involved in this kind of experiment. Okay, but these experiments have potential and limitation, and this is also something that made me very curious. I mean, I think that they have a lot of things that are potentially very important in order to solve, to fix society, not to find just technical solution. But they have something also that a lot of limitation that I will now try to discuss with you, showing also some empirical data that we collected through our research. These are solidarity purchasing groups. As I told you, almost 10 years ago, together with a business economist and anthropology, we did a very big research on this solidarity purchasing group. We wanted to know their motivation, how they function, which kind of outcome, social outcome, social, environmental, eco-social outcome they had. And we collected, just think about this, it was huge. We took a couple of years just to survey them because it was very, very difficult because they are informal organizations. So we really had to work a lot in order to discover them and also to involve them in this research. And we were able to collect answers from 1,658 people involved in this group in Lombardy. That is a huge number. Okay, the questionnaire was very big with a lot of items, a lot of questions. Here, I selected only one that I think that was one of the most significant results. Just think about that in the questionnaire, we had a question asking what changed or your consumption habits after you became part of this solidarity purchasing group. And these are very interesting data from my opinion, because 79, almost 80% of people who reply say that they increase the consumption of organic food. And 80.6% say that they increase the consumption of local food. And something that we even didn't notice at the time, because it was 10 years ago. So the knowledge, common knowledge about how much impact has the production of meat on the environment was not so diffuse as it is now. So we even didn't notice. Peer reviewers who review our paper notice, they say, this is incredible. 42.5% of people say that they diminished, they slow down the consumption of meat. So this means what? That this organization function as a school, as a way to learn, because of course they are, while shopping, they are passing to one another a lot of information. We weren't even aware about this, no? They just think about it, 42.5, we didn't even notice at the beginning, this high percentage of people, no? So there is a lot of self-education going on these groups. That is exactly what appeared as to be very interesting, because how this group function to convince people to make more rational choice, if we think that is irrational to consume, to waste resources, but also to waste money. I mean, they did it basically three things. They put on food a new silence. I mean, food became again an important issue, because if we think sometimes food is just something that we ingest, is something that we conceive as something that we need to eat. But we don't put a lot of attention, enough attention, what does it mean to buy food for the environment, for example, or for the right work of people. And reskilling, these people help them to regain some skills, how to cook, for example, from raw material. This is something that, for example, again, Italians, maybe younger generations start to lose skills. My generation, that is not that young anymore, keep these skills because we learn from our family, basically from our mother, how to, for example, mix ingredients, to cook from raw material. But for example, a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, who is studying the same issue than me, say that in Cork, in Ireland, where he worked, he had to train people to make them able to cook cauliflower, for example, because they didn't know what to do with cauliflower. They learned how to grow, but then they didn't know how to do, And accessibility. This is also something that Solidarity Purchasing Group did. They made local food more accessible to people, because in some places it's not possible. It's not easy to access local food because maybe there are only supermarket, or maybe there are only fast food, for example. After some years, because I didn't know, because sometimes as a scholar we proceed in this way. I mean, we have intuition, we have idea, we start research, we start collecting data. You are following your research ideas, and then you encounter theory. The research can be driven by theory, but you can also encounter theory after you did the research, because you want to interpret in a more theoretical way your data, your finding. And this is something that I discovered much later than my research. Contemporary consumption studies exactly say this, that to help people to move from an unsustainable way of consuming to more sustainable way of consuming is not enough to provide them with information. No, because if you just provide them information, you might have the opposite results, because you start making people feeling guilty. No, we all know that we should consume better, but sometimes it's not that easy. And actually, contemporary consumption literature say that you have to work on the meaning, re-give meaning to food, work on reskilling people. So exactly as the Solidarity Purchasing Group did, and also to make food, local food or more sustainable food, more accessible. So exactly what this living laboratory actually were doing. So they can really be part of the solution. They are a growing, as a matter of fact, they are a growing minority. Is it true? I mean, processed food is growing, is enough to go to in our supermarket, but is also growing less processed food, and especially is growing the interest of people, growing minority, to learn how to cook from fresh ingredients. But if we look for socioeconomic profile within these alternative food networks, we can discover something that is not functioning in the direction of making good food more accessible for all. Because in fact, these alternative food networks have the possibility to go deep, to changing our understanding of food, making our understanding of food wider, because eating food means preserving our environment. So they really help to think about food in a different way. They are also helping to scale up the number of consumers that rethink about food in a different way. And they have also given rise to new institutions, farmers market, cooperative supermarkets, alternative food network, community-supported agriculture are new institutions. They are there. They are actors. They are not in fantasy of sociologists. They are there. They are living. They are organization. I mean, new organization, but they are there. And they are growing. Of course, we are talking about niches, but they are growing. But they have also some limitation. Looking at their socio-economic profile, we can see that this organization attracts mainly people that are middle classes. One thing that we have noticed with all this data coming from GAS, that people usually are much more educated than in general population. So they can be elitists. These practices can be also easily cooptated. Cooptation is a mechanism of the market, the mainstream market, that used sometimes with greenwashing, with giving rise to this phenomena. Or they can close up in niches, creating niches market. For example, this is a problem for community-supported agriculture. As soon as they find a balance, they stop, for example, to informing people, to talk politically. What are the political implications of the global food chain? So they have limitations. So working on this way, I mean, collecting data, observing, looking for the literature, try to read data more theoretically, but also critically. At the end, I mean, with my research group said, okay, I mean, there's something very interesting. There is something very interesting going on in these niches, but they have also limitation. They actually can have the opposite result of what they wish. So what can we do in order to make good food that is good not just for your health, but also for the planet, more accessible to all? So we have started to work with local municipality. But not just with local municipality. I mean, this mechanism that recently we have published an article recently in an international journal talking about not just scaling deep, scaling out, scaling up, but also scaling through. Scaling through what? For example, scaling through the workplace where we work. For example, university usually have university canteen. And we are working with students to make university canteens more sustainable in this way. Like, for example, trying to buy more food from the local producer that respect some ethical and ecological criteria. No? While I was thinking about how to achieve this, is, for example, I had this idea, ask ourselves what kind of world we want to live in, experimenting with pathway to activate change, starting from oneself, but realizing as early as possible that we are not self-sufficient. I mean, we need nature, we need other people, but also we can reactivate ourselves within our workplace, for example. If we try to emulate, to scale up in a scale through our institution, for example, with this alternative food network too, or I think to reactivate politics at the local level, and here there are all these experiments going on internationally that are called local food policies, that are food policies that are designed at the local level, involving local institution or local municipality. They try, for example, to identify, to mapping and evaluating local initiative of civil society, that try actually to call all these experiments, living labs, all together in order to find together a possible solution. There are a lot of, for example, now there is one experiment very interesting in the city of Rome, for the, I mean, activated by the municipality of Rome, that is quite interesting. But we have a lot of examples all around the world, not just in the global north, but also in the global south. And they, of course, these local food policy are organized around participatory idea. I mean, they need citizens. We cannot have, this is something that I always say to my students, we cannot have sustainability without participation. I mean, sustainability is based on participation. We should be proactive citizens to have a sustainable world. Otherwise, they are just words that don't come to practice, in practice. And we did this, we tried. It's not easy. And we are studying also why are we failing? I mean, or the process is going very slow. To try to experiment this with the municipality of Trento. The municipality of Trento, the town where I live and where I work, is quite a very nice place, actually, a very active local municipality. And when I moved to Trento, they asked me to repeat an experiment that I did in Bergamo, in the city I was previously living. And we activated actually a round participatory table with stakeholders from different part of the food chain, from consumer to producer. And we actually started to discuss food issue, organizing a lot of participatory initiative. I mean, somehow following this guideline that are usually guidelines that are used to activate living laboratory, problem finding, idea funding, and making the idea accepted by all the people that are set in the round table. We did a map. You can Google and look at our project. We did a big conference that was a multi-site cited conference. I mean, we purposely organized this conference half at the university, half in the municipality, and half in the street. We have now also a community-supported agriculture that started to be active after the COVID lockdown. And we have learned from these experiences that in order to make citizens more active, we have to work on materials, competences, and meanings. No? So we learn from grassroots organization, but also from theory. And here I would like to, I'm nearly at the end of my presentation, but I really wanted to make you listen this small video. It is translated in English. I mean, you can read it down. And I would like you to pay attention to what this woman is saying in the video, because I think that she says something very relevant that really was very nice for me to listen, because I say, yes, I achieved something with my research work.
La filiera del cibo, e il cibo così come viene prodotto oggi, ha un impatto ambientale importante. Pensiamo per esempio che un terzo del cibo che produciamo viene gettato a livello globale, oppure che la filiera del cibo è responsabile di circa il 25% della produzione di CO2. Nutria Trento cerca di trovare delle soluzioni a questi problemi, che non sono soluzioni facili, perché gli attori che lavorano all'interno della filiera del cibo hanno interessi divergenti. E ecco perché è importante trovare le soluzioni insieme, no? Imparando a conoscere le reciproche esigenze, ma anche i reciproci limiti.
Nutrire Trento è un progetto che nasce dalla volontà dell'amministrazione comunale e dell'università di ritornare a lavorare insieme, di fare qualcosa per la città. Quindi con un protocollo sono state individuate tutta una serie di ambiti in cui appunto questi interessi potevano convergere, quindi la parte più scientifica di ricerca con la parte invece più operativa. In particolare si è deciso di occuparsi anche di agricoltura e quindi da qui la storia di Nutrire Trento. Nutrire Trento è nato con un tavolo partecipato, per questo ci piace in realtà chiamarlo più che progetto, processo. Infatti il suo cuore pulsante è appunto questo tavolo di lavoro, che è un tavolo a formazione molto dinamica, nel senso che è aperto a tutti, in qualsiasi momento si può entrare e uscire quindi da questo tavolo. Sono rappresentate tutti quelli che sono gli attori e i vari anelli della catena della filiera agroalimentare, dalla produzione al consumo, passando poi per anche appunto per le amministrazioni, gli enti di ricerca, le associazioni, quindi un po' tutto quello che è anche la società civile. Questo ci ha portato a lavorare in maniera molto alternativa rispetto a quello che è l'amministrazione lavoro di solito, quindi non un lavoro per provvedimenti, ma un lavoro per momenti, per confronto, a volte per scontro, non lo nego. Ci sono stati anche dei momenti in cui c'è stata della tensione, perché comunque non c'era una perfetta condivisione sulle cose, ma è proprio da questo che nascono, credo, le cose migliori.
Il progetto Nutrire Trento è uno degli aspetti emblematici di Saturn. Con Saturn noi vogliamo andare a capire come possono cambiare le relazioni tra le aree urbane e le aree rurali. Sicuramente questo lo si può fare anche con delle piccole azioni che giornalmente ci possono aiutare a cambiare il nostro approccio e anche a contrastare i problemi del cambiamento climatico. Anche con semplici azioni come il comprare locale, il coltivare e pensare che anche localmente possiamo produrre il cibo che ci serve è sicuramente una delle azioni che ci possono aiutare a creare una nuova consapevolezza.
Well, this was, in short, our project. Okay, this is the last slide, because I took you inside my research and my action, basically. But I really think that to move from an unsustainable way of producing and consuming, from a sustainable society, basically, we really need to start from rethinking our lifestyle and consumption practices. But then this is not enough. We really have to merge with other citizens, involving also municipality. I believe we are all familiar with the 2030 United Nations agenda, that I really think that is a very powerful framework. Of course, it's a framework. We have to activate this framework if we want to go in that direction. I mean, because the framework doesn't do all by itself. So the sustainable goal number 12 say responsible consumption and production. So we have to go in that direction. But the 11th say sustainable cities and communities. So I think that my research has followed this path. And the 17th, I say partnership for the goals. You have to partner to build coalition. And I see that for solving the problem of sustainability, you have really to depart from your local space. We are globalized. We travel a lot, but the majority of our time is spent in a place. And we should take care of that place. And I'm finishing this here. So I think that we have a few minutes, but at least you can, if you have some question, or you can give also some feedback. And here are a little bit of my contact information, and you can obviously write or look at what I'm doing at the University of Trento. And that's it.
Thanks a lot, Francesca. This is very, very, very interesting. I have actually a list of questions here. You'll see a lot of them. Not questions, but maybe point of discussion. But actually, I would like to highlight one point here for people who attended previous lecture in this series, that during the previous lectures, which was dealing mainly about inclusivity in society and how we can include other people and how we can take care of people. The lecture Alexandra highlighted that it's something from our insight, from the people perspective themselves. And today, actually, Francesca highlighted the same point, maybe in different way, but exactly the same point in the term of this living lab. I think the main idea of living lab, Francesca, is to increase awareness, make the people aware of the problem, make the people really need to solve the problem, try to make them not just passive, but active, try to make something active by their hand. And this living lab, this example that you are presented today, actually, is toward green environmental, green things. So here again, we can link these two topics, the environmental component, sustainability component, with the inclusivity in our society, with the link, which is increase awareness of society, increase awareness of the individual. So this is the point here. Also, I would like before we start the discussion, I would like to highlight the point that you highlighted early, Francesca, at the beginning of the discussion or your talk. This is just an example. So what you're presenting now is just an example, and we can use the same model, the same framework, in order to scale it up, or in order to apply it to other problems. Yep. So I think this is just like not comment, just to follow up or link between your lecture and the previous lecture. And now I hope that our audience can ask some questions or discuss things. So please, please.
I had one question which I just popped in the chat actually.
Yep.
And I was just, first of all, thank you so much, Francesca. It was really interesting to hear about your research, some really cool stuff in there. My question was really just, I wanted to understand within your research, if you've seen much of a difference in uptake of some of these alternative consumption methods between urban and rural settings. So sort of my inherent perception would be in more sort of densely populated urban settings that are physically detached from where the production is taking place, there would be stronger barriers to overcome to encourage these practices. And I was just wondering if that had come through in your research.
Yes, definitely. Also because in rural context, there is a phenomena that I really like that is called silent sustainability. Sustainability that is enacted without even know that is sustainability. No, and this is also something that now I'm participating in a new call, and we want to focus on silent sustainability before it goes lost forever. For example, I make this example right now. I'm in Palermo at the moment, and it's really incredible, no? Because Italy is a laboratory, in my opinion. I mean, because it's so differentiated within, no? In Milan, for example, shop that sells unpackaged food are believed as innovation. But here in Palermo, it's normal to have shops that sell food unpackaged, but they are thought as they are kind of from the past. So this is silent sustainability, something that you do without even realize, and is our duty, in my opinion, to make these, to give value to these practices before they get lost. So I think that there is a big difference. You're right. We see this from urban and rural setting, but it is also true that in urban setting, I mean, while in rural setting there is this silent sustainability, so the work would be try to valorize what is done there. In the urban context, for example, the solidarity purchasing group are mainly spread in the urban context, because there are a lot of people that are searching. For example, it was impressive how this phenomena grown during the COVID pandemic, especially in rural context. So I think that this is a good point and also a good line for further research.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There is a question from Monica. Monica, do you think, Monica, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or?
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, I'm not going to set up my camera because it would be shocked.
No
scared, so maybe it's better not.
Sorry, the lecture is the end of the day,
No,
so I know everyone
nothing.
now. It's
just joking. Is just that it doesn't work that well, and I don't want the connection to fall down. And also because I'm still in my pajamas, so that's an additional issue. But well, first, thank you very much for everything you presented. Is amazingly interesting, and you gave a lot of example connecting with our reality. So I think that everybody has an idea of how this is close to what we do. And it's especially interesting, some of the latest point you mentioned about how the big risk is that that is already known is that unfortunately many AFN are an elite product, something that just some people can access given their cost, given their availability. And I think Rory Taylor also mentioned the fact that, in fact, I think there is a definition like a food cemetery. There are those places that are absolutely not surrounded by anything other than fast food or something like this. There are studies about that. But I wonder, moving to another level, how can we push and do something to make the alternative food network as less as possible a privilege for just an elite, So I wonder which type of mechanism at European Union level, national level, tax cut, discount, incentive, everything. I don't know. So that is a big question. And thank you very much for any idea you can give us. Thank you.
Yes, this is actually the problem we departed with when we started to involve, to think about involving local municipality. The problem is that to affect, for example, European legislation, I mean, you need a critical mass. You have citizens that are aware of the problem. Otherwise, I mean, from political sociology, I know clearly. I mean, that you have to increase the awareness of citizens in order to push legislator towards a different path. But right now, people want to have discounts nearby, and this is a problem because, of course, I mean, you have to make people that to think, to make people aware that if we buy things to a lower cost as possible, this means that we are exploiting something or somebody, and it will turn to us because all of us are both consumer and producer, and we are producing something. So this is really difficult, and I wouldn't be worried actually that these processes start from middle classes. Sometimes there are a lot of criticism about that, but from my opinion, is good that somebody takes the burden to start the process. But we shouldn't stop there, and I think that schools, universities. This is also why I'm fighting with my research group to keep on this track of research, because sometimes it's difficult to have funding to prove, to have empirical data to testify, to testimony that these practices, although little, they are living lab, they are creative lab, they have some solution inside. But sometimes to carry on this research, I mean, for example, there is the big research we did on solidarity purchasing group was totally unfunded. We did it, 3 crazy professors at the University of Bergamo with no fundings were able to collect all that data. No? Now the issue is more recognized, and we are able, I mean, the short video I presented to you was a result of a European project. And with my research group in Trento, we have been able to get some funding, to collaborate at the European level with other universities. So this is a lot of efforts, because any private actor would sponsor us for this kind of research. So, but I think that is important that in the university we do this kind of research.
Actually, I had in my agenda here almost similar question to the one that by Monica, but maybe I can reframe it a bit. Do you think, because you highlighted the role of research, because you are a researcher and what you are doing now is research and living lab, this is sort of small module to increase awareness or so. Do you think that big business, can contribute somehow to scale up these modules, can transfer the modules to other places, maybe in different contexts because of societal things, but transfer the modules like large business?
It's difficult to answer this question, because of course, I mean, these ideas are based on the idea of promoting well-being rather than profit. So I don't know. I mean, there might be some ethical big business that can, but it's difficult in my opinion. So it's more likely that big business emulate. So I see a lot of emulation from big business to these practices in terms of greenwashing.
Yeah.
Cooptation. I talked before about this mechanism of cooptation. This is why I don't know. Because I really think that, I mean, market cannot really support itself. We really have to have ideas. We really have to ethical ideas. I mean, driving and to have this idea, we need a political project. No, because I think that we need to build on a common political project. Political project would be, for example, really rethink what is well-being. We really should start from really thinking what makes us happy. And what makes us happy is not profit, is not filling our wardrobe with 20 pair of shoes or dresses. This really doesn't make us happy. So I think that we really need a new political project that really asks us what makes us happy. For example, curing each other makes us happy. All of us probably have a person who is ill and is struggling to cure, or a baby. I mean, what makes us happy? To be able to live a proper life with the idea of reproducing us and the nature. And I think that we have lost this good sense of what is life. No? So, and I believe that the only things to regain is a new political project. And that doesn't mean a political party.
Yeah.
But a political project with rule, I mean, with common rule that we accept, because we know that we will live better, all of us. So I mean, it might be that there are some businesses willing to play in this, to support this game. But because they have a common political vision that is based on solidarity rather than competition. I mean, is it saying that we have both of these impulse as human beings, competition and cooperation, but our society is cultivating just competition.
Yes.
Instead, a political project should cultivate cooperation.
Collaboration. Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, I agree with you. You know. Yeah, we are going in this, most of our society is just competition. Everyone try to compete, and big business or business in general try to make benefit, financial benefit. Yep. Roberto, I think, has a question in terms of towns. Do ecology producer ever come to the city and sell their product directly?
Yeah, we used to have an orchard in the countryside, but since there is lack of water, we stopped last year, and we're not going to produce ourselves anything else this year. And in the future, we're lacking water in the area, not desperately, but seriously. So what we do is simply welcome the opportunity that the City Council of Milan organizes to have producers in the area to come regularly twice a week in town and sell their products directly. That's all we can do actually at the moment. So I was wondering whether there's any project to encourage local municipalities to organize this regular distribution, if not production.
It would be important to do it, but I am not aware about this project. But probably I can share with you that it would be very important that local municipality get involved in something like that.
Of course. I think Monica as well showed or shared with us a book about this issue. I can share the title of the book, which is The Public Health Affect the Food Deserts. So it's a sort of workshop summary also. Yep. I don't know if our audience here have any more questions or so. If not, I think in the announcement of the workshop or this lecture, we have the LinkedIn information. We have all the information for Francesca. So I think, Francesca, you don't mind that if someone would like to contact you to follow up with ideas, questions?
Of course.
Super.
Welcome.
So
And thank you very much for this opportunity, because it's always a big opportunity
I think
to share.
we have, as a project partner in this Inspiring the Mind project, we have to thank you very much, because today I think you brought like a missing piece of the puzzle, and it's really, I can see it as a puzzle, and every person who give a lecture try to like put piece of this, and you actually make a piece that is really connect different things together. So I would like to thank you very much for this great lecture, and for all the audience for this great discussion. And if you don't mind, actually we have like something called acknowledgement page, which is on the site of the project. And normally we ask our lecture just as sort of to acknowledge what their contribution, to put their photo there, and maybe very short bio. So I hope that you are agree that you will be there.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations for your project as well. And keep going.
Thank you very much. And you are on board. So I think we will be in contact in order to explore things and discuss things. So
thank you. Yep. Thank you. My pleasure.
So, thanks all.
Ciao.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you to
all, and see you hopefully soon. I think we have a lecture by end of this month, 28th of this month. We have another lecture. We will post it on Facebook and social media, and hopefully to see most of you there. Good. Bye bye.
Ciao. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye bye. Ciao Roberto. Ciao.